Hey everyone, my name is Jack. I'm a 23-year-old real estate investor and soon-to-be attorney, and on this channel I cover a variety of topics as they relate to real estate, investing, the markets, and pretty much everything as it has to do with personal finance. So if you like that sort of content, be sure to have a look around the channel, and if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe. But today I wanted to bring it back down to basics and go over what I spend in a given week here in the beautiful city of Chicago. Not only so you have some more context for other financial moves I might be making, since you can see what I'm actually spending on a given week, since that'll be a big determinant on what you can actually spend on investments and other things, but also because I found it interesting to see what people in different stages of their life, as well as in different areas of the country and even the world, are spending on a given week. And this could be an interesting series to do every 6 months or every year to see how things are changing, if they're changing at all. Because one of the first, if not the first things you should focus on in your finances is what you are spending, because what you don't spend, you can then use towards other things like investing, saving, and putting yourself in a better position for the future. And in the United States especially, bad spending can really put you in a bind to where you can't make a lot of progress in other areas. So without further ado, let's get into what I spend in a given week. To set the scene, I'm a 23-year-old who lives in Chicago, Illinois with my beautiful wife, who I've been married to for just over a year and a half now. And I'm currently working part-time while I study for the bar exam, which I'll be taking in February of 2021, so just this next month, and I will start practicing real estate law thereafter. But let's start off with the most basic and what is normally the most substantial cost for any household, and that is housing itself. A couple years ago, I bought a condo for $153,000 right along the lake in Chicago up on the north side. Despite the horrible weather for half the year, I do actually enjoy our spot that we're in a lot because we're right along the beach. I love beaches. Even though it's cold, I do a jog on the beach every single morning, and it's a great way to kind of refresh while you're working inside all day, as it has been for the whole pandemic. And even though we're at the very tippy top of Chicago, way out of the actual central business district where all the big office buildings are, we can actually still see the city skyline from our beach, which is pretty cool. But the coolest part about this condo is that it is a house hack. I bought this place while I was still technically a bachelor, although I was in a very serious relationship that eventually turned into my current marriage, so I knew that was going to be happening. That was a big reason I wanted to get a place in the first place, but I intentionally bought a place that was too big for myself. I bought a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. This meant that I could rent out the bedroom and bathroom that we don't really need to live anyways, so that was able to offset a lot of the housing costs. And with house hacking, you could take advantage of super low interest rate loans and also low down payment loans if you don't have a ton of money to get into real estate, although you should have some reserves ready to go if you're planning on buying anything. After you factor in rent, I'm only coming out of pocket by about $100 for taxes, insurance, condo fees, and the mortgage. For a typical 1-bedroom apartment around me, if I were to do that instead, that would be something like $900 in rent per month, maybe $800 if I'm lucky. Now, this doesn't count utilities, which do end up being around $200 to $225 a month between gas, electric, and internet. So you could say all told that our monthly housing cost is about $325 per month. That equates to $75 a week for housing. Before I move forward, I do want to emphasize the power of house hacking. You can see how cheap my housing costs are, and I get to control real estate, and I'm building equity in the property every single month. So it is super powerful for not only getting started in real estate, but also reducing your net housing costs pretty dramatically if you play your cards right. And you don't need to get into a huge multifamily property if you don't want to, and you're okay with doing something like what I'm doing with a condo where I just rent out a bedroom and a bathroom. That does come with some sacrifices, especially now while everyone's at home, but when the world hopefully does open up again, we'll be moving out of the house all the time anyways, so you're able to take advantage of that otherwise unused space or unnecessary space and actually can start making a profit on it. But anyways, after housing, there's also the good old grocery bill, which between my wife and I is probably something like $70 a week. It does kind of fluctuate at times, but we cook almost all of our food. We do not eat out, and we really can't eat out in many cases because of Chicago's really harsh restaurant restrictions. Well, I shouldn't say you can't, but it's definitely not very fun, and especially not fun if they make you eat outside, because in some cases, capacity is so limited for some restaurants inside that the only way that you can eat at a restaurant is outside in an enclosed tent of sorts where it's already super cold out, and it's just not a pleasant environment. And if it's not going to be fun, why are you paying a huge premium for restaurant food if you could just cook it yourself? Now, if we have a week where we need more supplies, it might be $100 a week, but this really is kind of the upper limit. It's usually something like $70 a week, and that might even be pushing it. Being at home almost every single day for the last year now has been super helpful for mastering cooking skills and getting much better at cooking. I was already really into cooking before this, so it's just kind of been an excuse for practicing even more. And I think we can keep much healthier by cooking our own food anyways and cutting out a lot of junk food, but that doesn't mean we don't indulge sometimes. Now, our condo actually came with a parking spot, which is really awesome in Chicago, especially where parking, especially along the lake, can get very tough to find. So we do have a car, although we don't use it very frequently outside of my wife, who will actually go down to the hospital that she works at for her grad program. She's studying to become an audiologist, so she does need to drive a good bit. I almost never have to drive anymore outside of occasional showings for my real estate agent side hustle. So I'm going to ballpark estimate this at about $25 per week between gas and expenses. We don't actually have a payment on this car, so that helps a lot. Then there's my phone bill, which is actually much lower than it was since I just switched over to Google Fi, which I will vouch for. Hashtag not an ad, although I do have a referral link down in the description. I encourage someone to check it out. I don't know if they do iPhones, but they definitely do Android, which is what I was already using anyways. And my wife and I are currently on a joint plan to where we're going to average between $30 and $40 per person per month. If we wanted to switch to an unlimited plan once we actually start going out and about more and might need more data, then that would be about $60 per person. But right now I'll just say $40 per month, which equals about $9 per week. The next category I'm going to generally call fun savings, since we're not really doing a whole lot outside of the house recently because of all the shutdowns, a bunch of big events being closed. I really like baseball, so we haven't seen any baseball games in person. My wife really likes shows and theater and musicals, and we haven't done those either because they involve big crowds. And like I said, we're not really doing restaurants either because the restaurant experience is just a lot more awkward now than it ever was, and it's still just as expensive. But what we like to do is we pre-save our expenses so that we could just pull from the pool and have really no questions asked about it. So in a way, it's not as though we're saying, oh, do we spend the $50 on this restaurant or not? It's instead, we look at the pool, what we have, and then we can just pull from that. So every single month, we're contributing towards that, and then if we want to do something fun, we can see how much money we have to do something fun. This also keeps those expenses quite consistent and controlled, which is helpful for the long term. So right now, that's actually quite low at only about $50 per month, which is something like $11 per week. This probably will see some inflation as I start working full-time again as an attorney. Once my wife's done with her grad school and starts working as an audiologist, we'll see some income actually coming in to where we can justify taking a vacation, to where we can justify going to restaurants more regularly, but it's not going to be extreme. But like I said, you could look at this account like a pre-expense as though it's already been spent, even though it's actually just sitting in a savings account. And then I'm just going to include a $50 per month variance expense for things that just might come up. There's something on Amazon I want, maybe for YouTube, for example, or for something that I want to do or that my wife wants to do, just something that doesn't really fit in these categories very well, then that would fall under this. So that's about $11 per week. And I'm also going to include clothes here at about $150 per year for what I'm actually spending. Most of the clothes I actually have, I think, in my wardrobe are probably gifts that I've gotten over the years. But when I do buy my clothes, I usually buy them during Black Friday at stores like INDOCHINO. This is actually where I got this shirt, where it's perfectly tailored to me without me having to spend anything extra. And I got this shirt for something like $35 in a package of 4, so 35 times 4 was what I spent on shirts this year. That would equate to something like $3 per week for clothes throughout the year, and I might have to bump that once I start as an attorney if I'm going to be needing more suits, although I do have a few suits already from going through law school and having competitions for moot court and mock trial and all that nerdy stuff where you do need a suit that's actually court ready. I don't know if they have a referral link, but if they do, I'll include it below, and that's to INDOCHINO. If you're looking for man clothes, it is a great option for really custom tailored stuff that's at super affordable prices. It's actually a pretty phenomenal business model if you ask me, and I have had nothing but good experiences so far, at least with my slender body type. I don't know how more muscular or heavier people do with INDOCHINO, but for my body type, it's been great. And most importantly, affordable. So if we add all of that up, we're looking at $203 per week in weekly expenses, which is about $880 per month, which is about $10,500 per year. I could probably include an extra $100 per week that automatically goes towards my IRA, and my wife does the same thing, but I'm not going to include that for my personal expenses. So we're looking at $100 per week there, but I'd like to include that as an expense since it's something that I don't really put much thought into. It's $100 into the IRA, which is an index funds. Although I'm not much of a passive investor, I'm going to be pretty passive with the tax advantage stuff that I don't really care about, that I can't touch till I'm 59 and a half anyways. And if all my active stuff blows up outside of the retirement accounts, hopefully those should be decently good by the time I'm actually retirement age. But beyond that, any income above that amount is going towards debt or investing. Between my wife and I, we do have some student loans that we're going to have to start worrying about eventually. We don't really have a set payment that we have to meet yet, but we will soon. So we're going to be focusing a lot of our income towards that, unless of course the government decides to wave a magic wand and get rid of it. But But otherwise, we're going to be investing very aggressively in real estate. We already have one rental property that pays us about $150 per month, which is nice, but all of that is going into a pool to be reinvested. And then we have the stock portfolio, which I cover on this channel plenty. Both our real estate and stock portfolio and other assets should grow plenty over the next few years, and we'll be working to whittle down our bad debts, if you can call them that, mainly the student loans and any personal loans that we might have. But otherwise, pretty much all new debt is going to be going towards productive assets like real estate, and probably only real estate, since that's some of the best terms out there for any debt. So that's what I spend as a 23-year-old homeowner in the great city of Chicago, studying for the bar exam. Will be an attorney very soon, and we'll see what changes are made over the next few years. My only words of encouragement are to take a deep look at your finances and see what areas you can improve, because I'm sure there is something in there that you can improve. There's something that I can improve as well. Everyone can do something to make their finances better or more productive for the long term especially. I'd love to get your thoughts in the comments below, so definitely leave those there, or if you have any questions about what I'm doing, I'd be happy to answer them. And I'd be even happier if you hit the like button, and if you like this sort of content about personal finance, investing, even real estate investing, definitely be sure to subscribe, since I put out new videos every single week. And check out all the free stuff and my affiliate links in the description below. But until next time, take care.